Hello my little bear cubs, it's me, Colton with BearScareBeauty, back again. And today I'm actually going to continue the little back to basics thing that I had going. And it's going to be about the eyes today. And yeah, I think that's it. We're just gonna do some eye stuff. It's not gonna be a super long video, which is great, but we're just gonna talk about like some of the basics, some of the things you can use for like eye primer and stuff like that. So let's just get right into it, and I'm gonna make sure you guys are close enough to see. Now that we are pretty close, I don't have any face makeup on because I didn't want to deal with it. And it's like 100 degrees out today, so which means it's like 96 in my room. It's hot. Sorry if you can hear the fan or other noises, I don't care. You're gonna deal with it. So we're just gonna start with bases. What I like, I actually really like, it's the e.l.f. priming putty. It's really good. It's great for like oily eyelids, which I have. I wouldn't really recommend it for dry eyelids because it will show a lot of texture and it's a little drier itself, so it can make your eyes look a little dry. The next would be something like the Urban Decay Priming Potion. I really like this as well. The anti-aging is really good for like drier lids, whereas the original and the colored ones, I use the color Sin a lot, is great for like oily lids. It's a little drier, it has some pigment to it, whereas the anti-aging one has no pigment to it. It's just kind of a nice, kind of sticky base, but it also dries down. It's a really good base. I really like it. Hello. Wow, ma'am? 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 This is a Wendy's. Ma'am, this is a Wendy's. Ma'am? Sorry, my backlight was falling over. The next would be something like the NYX Proof It. Y'all have seen me use this a lot on the channel. I'd say this is great for any eyelid. It dries down pretty stiff, but it's also like kind of a clear liquid, so it's not gonna show a lot of texture on dry eyes and it doesn't dry your eyes out. It's also great for oily eyes because it does dry down pretty stiff, so it's not letting a lot of the oil come through and it's not gonna leave your eyelids creasy. And I have incredibly hooded eyes, and what that means is like right here, your eye kind of falls over itself. And then also, I just have caveman eyes, so I have very little lid space to work with. So it's really great to have a primer that doesn't crease. It's kind of imperative for me. Along with priming, I'd always suggest using an eye cream, and I'll take it like right under the eye, and then I take it onto the lid up to my eyebrow, because my lids are really weird. Right here on the inner eye on this side, I have like a really weird flaky dry patch that just doesn't go away. Nothing sticks to it either, so it's really weird. We're just gonna jump right into it. And so I'm gonna use the e.l.f. priming putty, and I'm just gonna take it on a flat brush, really work the brush around in there, and I'm just gonna put it all over the eye, from brow to lid to eyelash. Know what I'm saying? Hopefully. Hopefully y'all know what I'm saying. And I kind of pat it on first and then blend it out. Yeah, if you hear little squeaks in the background? No, if you hear little squeaks in the background, it's actually the fan. It's really old, so it tends to squeak a little bit. And I have my AC pointed at it, so it's blowing air from the AC into my room. Because it is hot! And so I'm just dipping in a little bit. I'm just trying to make sure I've got a really nice even coverage. It's not a ton of coverage, but it just kind of leaves this nice like semi-matte sticky base all over the eye. I'm gonna keep this a pretty neutral eye look because I feel like that's gonna be a lot more everybody's go-to like day-to-day stuff. But at the same time, it's got a lot of utility because you can just apply this type of look with different colors, right? So I'm using the BH 1991 palette. It's discontinued. Sorry. I really hope they bring it back for some of the colors. Taking Afterlife. It's this nice kind of creamy beige. And I'm just going to kind of fluff it all over the lid, paying more attention to the upper lid. It's just going to kind of set it in place, give everything a nice slight base to blend on. And I'm barely using any pressure. Like the tip of the brush is barely touching my lid, right? And I'm kind of taking it out a little further, so if I need to blend anything out further, it's got that kind of like powdery base. Take that, kind of pat it in. Like I said, I have no base makeup out there, so anything I can do to get something out there to help shadows blend on it, it's fine. If you do have base makeup on and you've already powdered, that's also fine. Or if you do eyes first, you might want to consider taking your eye primer like all the way out here, like farther past your brow. Now that that's down, I'm going to take Soft Spot, and I'm also going to kind of blend that all over the lid. Now, I like to tap the excess off the brush. Just give it one good tap. Don't keep tapping it, because then you will, or possibly will, remove a lot of pigment. Most people are going to be using synthetic brushes, and they don't grip pigment quite as good as natural hair brushes. I don't really like to use natural hair brushes. I don't really tend to like natural hair brushes. I think it's a little weird. I do have a couple of natural hair brushes, and they do hold on to pigment better and different, but synthetic brushes have come a really long way. They're great. Anyways, Afterlife, and I'm just gonna blend it kind of all over the eye. I'm gonna keep it up a little higher. I have hooded eyes, so you need to blend things up higher. Sometimes all the way up to the eyebrow. I generally have to blend it all the way up to the eyebrow. Once again, I'm not using very much pressure, and it's just gonna be a really light wash of color. It might not even show up on camera, so I might go a little more heavy-handed with it, might be a little more intense so y'all can really see it on camera. Because I do notice that sometimes when I'm doing an eye look, I'm like, oh, this looks great in person, and then I look at it on camera and I'm like, there's nothing there. Okay. So that's something to keep in mind too, is doing makeup for in-person versus camera. Camera, you're always going to have to be more intense with it, whereas in person you can go a little softer because our eyes are going to pick up more than a camera will. So I am just trying to map out my eye a little bit. Like I said, I have quite hooded eyes, and I'm going to keep this eye look a little more almond shaped rather than like winged. So I'm just kind of trying to think, if I really kind of close my eyes, or excuse me, open my eyes, there's not a lot of lid space, so I'm going to keep it from the lower lash line up, and then I'm going to kind of circle it so it has this like nice almond taper rather than being a smoky wing. Soft concentric circles, and then just like kind of windshield wiper moments, right? Moments? Movement. And I'm gonna kind of keep building it up because you really can't see it on camera. So I'm just gonna kind of build it up until you can see it on camera. I'm also trying to use a smaller mirror today so y'all can really see what I'm doing. I don't have the Horcrux today. I don't know why I call it a Horcrux, because I don't like Harry Potter. I feel like that's really weird, though I guess it's just one of those things that I picked up from Harry Potter, and it kind of makes sense in the context. I'm going well above my crease, like well above my crease. Like I said, I'm blending it pretty much all the way up to my eyelid, and I'm kind of taking it in to the inner corner because it's going to be like a really nice kind of transition color, a nice little blendy blend moment. And now I'm kind of flicking it down on the outer corner of my eye and in, and that's going to help us start to build that nice almond shape that I'm after. And you can really apply this technique to anything. If you're doing a wing, I always suggest following your bottom lash line where it connects to the top of your lid, bringing it out. That's the bottom of your wing. And then bring it in. I kind of like to keep it on the midpoint between your iris and the end of your eyelid. Bring it across, and then connect where it starts going across to the wing. Or you can follow my tutorial for how to do it on hooded eyes, which is great. I use kind of a 6 triangle technique. So when you open your eyes, it looks like you have a really good wing, and when you close your eyes, you have this like little bat wing moment going on. So it's both a normal wing and a graphic wing at the same time. I got that down. I'm gonna soften the top edge with more Afterlife, and I'm just taking it on the tip of that same brush. And I'm just kind of blending it up so it has this nice like feathery, pillowy top edge where it meets my brow, so it doesn't look like I just have a straight color all the way up to my brow. I think eyeshadow's the thing that takes the longest. It can take like an hour or two just to do a good shadow job, you know? It's not that it looks natural, but you want it to look good. It looks complete and blended and effortless and airbrushed, right? So that's something that can take a while. Where are my brushes? Where are my girls? ladies. All right, I'm gonna take a Delium Tools 783. It's a nice, like, tapered blending brush. It's dirty. I don't clean my personal brushes in between uses. I do in my kit every single time, and I sanitize them. My personal brushes are pretty dusty, musty, and crusty. Now I'm going to dip in to Safe Word. It's like the deeper sister of Soft Spot. And I'm just taking it on the tip of the brush, tapping off a little bit, and I'm gonna start working that into my crease and down and around. And I mean like into my crease. So you're really not gonna be able to see it that much when I open my eyes, but I'm gonna make sure it has this nice feathery effect that goes up more. So you just see this like nice smoky edge. And I'm kind of using the V shape of the brush to push it in to my outer V. And once again, I'm not trying to wing it out. I'm trying to keep this nice like almondy shape. And I'm trying to open my eye, not all the way, but most of the way. But yeah, so I'm just trying to work it into the crease without working it too high. Once again, it's gonna give it this nice like smoky effect. And this is also the same technique you can use to do a smoky eye. Excuse me. This is something that I always have a bad habit of on myself, but you need to keep the brush kind of straight on. And then when you're working on your upper lid, you can start to curve it up a little more. But I need to try to do that better on myself, because that's just, doing makeup on yourself is so much different than doing makeup on somebody else. It's so weird because you have like all these little like, they're just things you do on yourself because it's easier to do them on yourself than someone else. Like if somebody's sitting in front of you, you can really easily do that. Where if it's yourself and you're looking in a mirror, you're like, I'm in a really talkative mood. I'm super manic lately. Like, damn boy, he's a manic boy. Once again, I'm kind of trying to define the outside. I'm not trying to wing it out, so I'm taking it down on the outer edge, and then I'm connecting it to the bottom lash line, so it has, once again, that nice almondy shape. I haven't had candy or anything like that in such a long time. Meanwhile, I ate an entire pizza in the last 2 days, so like, me trying to keep up my weight loss journey in quarantine is going great. And I'm kind of working in a circle there, so I can kind of drag it out a little further and down, once again kind of keeping that nice almond shape. It is going to be a little bit of a wing just because how my eyes look, but it's not going to be like a full wing because I'm dragging it down on the top outer edge. Just gonna take that same brush before, and I'm gonna make sure I'm really kind of blending the edges of those shades and then working it down again. Gonna take a little bit more of Soft Spot again so I can really blend out that outer edge. And I'm gonna take the same brush that I used the primer on, and I'm gonna kind of clean up this top edge a little bit so it's not as winged out. I'm kind of running it on my lash line, my brow line too. And I'm once again gonna go back in the Soft Spot and reinforce it a tiny bit up there. There's just a lot of back and forth when you're doing eyeshadow, you know? I really do like using the eye primer again to kind of clean up edges or like kind of buff something out, because if you're just tapping over it, it's not like putting down a cake of it, it's just gently tapping it, and it's also pulling up some of the eyeshadow. So it's really easy to get like a nice smoky blended edge with that. So I'm keeping it, once again, pretty almond shape. Once again, my eyes have a little bit of a wing shape because when I open them, That's just how my eye shape is. But if you don't have hooded eyes, it's definitely going to have like a rounder almond shape than kind of a higher on the bottom, shorter on the top. So I'm just leaning in so y'all can really see that. But when I open my eyes, see it's got a little bit of a wing going on, but not too much, not too terribly much. I'm gonna take Bad Liar, which is the deepest color in the palette, and I'm using a really like flimsy brush. If you watch Raw Beauty Christie Blimby, it is what it is. I'm taking it and I'm keeping it like on the eyelid and just tapping it on the outer part of the eyelid and then blending it in a little bit lower than Safe Word. And I'm using a really flimsy brush because it gives it this nice, really soft blend, and it's also thin, so it has like the crevasse capabilities. So it gets, I am shaking. So it gets into the crevasse. Now I'm just gonna work it slightly outside of the eyelid, like slightly outside of the outer eyelid, and then work it up. And now I'm kind of working it up right where we started with Safe Word. So it's gonna add just the tiniest amount of depth to the crease. And I'm really keeping it on like the outer half of the eye rather than like 3/4. Take that big fluffy brush, dip into Safe Word so I can blend those edges, and once again, I am gently, zero pressure, gentle, soft bunny blending. Just that edge right there so we get this nice marriage of those colors. Taking Blimby Boy again, and I'm just kind of reinforcing right here, like right on just the very tippy tip edge of that almond shape, and kind of swooping down because my hooded eyes, when I open them, it's gone, so I just need to make sure there's a little bit of depth there to work with. And then just kind of gently flicking it up. Once again, something I'm particularly bad about on myself is holding brushes right. You really just want it to rest, kind of like you're holding a pencil but with no pressure. Rest and just let your wrist do all the work with just gentle flicks, or even your arm, whatever you're more comfortable with. But the harder grip you have on a brush, definitely the harder you're going to be pressing on your eye. So just a nice, gentle grip, because if I'm pressing too hard, the brush is actually going to kind of push back against me. So it loosens itself, if that makes sense. I have this nice almond-shaped eye. It's got a lot of depth. Like I said, you cannot see Safe Word on camera. It is all the way up to my brow bone. You can really see it in real life. So I'm gonna dip into Soft Spot pretty heavily again and just skim the outer edge, just so I have a little more color down. And maybe you can see it on camera, I don't know. Gonna take that same primer brush and I'm going to start tapping it and kind of dragging up on the inner corner of my eye, because I want it cleaned up on the inner corner. I don't want it like out so far. So I'm just kind of making sure we have like a nice little clean inner corner moment. Now we're gonna cut the crease. I don't use concealer on my eye, and I don't think anybody should use concealer on their eye, because it's gonna crease. It's gonna crease a lot. And when you cut your crease, it's gonna crease even more. So you're gonna have this nice like defined line, and then when you close your eyes, you're gonna have this space of like nothing where your eye crease is, and then like gunky, bunchy, crunchy under that. Not a cute look, not great. I'm taking the NYX glitter primer, and I'm like getting a really, really healthy amount on my brush. And this works great for cutting your crease, actually. And it's a glitter primer, so it's gonna kind of make whatever shimmer you have stick. I have to have a glitter primer. My eyes are so hooded, if I don't use a glitter primer, it transfers almost all the way up to my brow bone. Okay, So I'm gonna open my eyes fully like this and look like a crazy person. And I'm gonna take just a little bit out of the inner corner and drag it up just slightly, just above the crease. And then I'm gonna like raise my brows, open my eyes, and then just pat and pack from that line, because you can definitely see the line. I'm just gonna pat and pack the rest of that glue on there. So let's face it, it's borderline Elmer's glue. And just out to where I want it to stop. And I kind of like to drag it like down, like a line down like that. You can also drag it in. It really doesn't matter. It's just your personnel preference, right? It's kind of hard to open your eye. Yeah, it's kind of hard to open your eye after this. I'm gonna let that tack down for a second. There's so many like pretty shades. I'm gonna dip into Illusion, and then I'm gonna get Ritual on the outer edge. Ritual's this really gorgeous duochrome. It's like green to brown to blue to gold? Quad chrome? I don't know, man. It's pretty. And Illusion is just gorgeous. So I'm gonna start with Illusion on the inner corner. I don't even know if I'm in focus right now. Oh my God, that is gorgeous. I need to like petition BH to release this in a single, because like this, Ritual, and Karma, I would pay for a trio palette. Like 2 shimmers and a matte, I would pay for a trio palette. There is just no way to accurately portray how beautiful this actually is. And now that I've got that down, I'm gonna take Bad Liar on just the tip of that 783, and I'm gonna just scheme the edge there and bring it up a little higher, so we have just the tiniest bit of definition on that cut crease. If you have not hooded eyes and not caveman brows, you probably won't have to do this step, because your cut crease is going to go well below where I have to place mine. But this is just how I get that like deep illusion of the cut crease being a little lower. Ritual, and I'm just gonna tap this and kind of drag it in to where we placed Illusion. This is like a really flat round top blending brush. I'm gonna dip into Bad Liar, and I'm gonna pack it right between where those meet, and then just kind of gently blend it, like back just below the crease, just gently, tapping, slight buffing, and then use the primer brush again to kind of clean up this edge, because it's looking a little more winged again, and that's not what I want. It's like nice and simple, but also just like these duochromes. They're gorgeous. This is just a smudging brush, and I'm gonna use Echo. It's the nice like camely shade, and that's what I'm gonna run under my lash line, like on my lower lashes. And I'm gonna start by like kind of pressing it in, and then just like tapping it along. And then I'm gonna angle the brush slightly down, keeping it straight. And I'm gonna kind of gently start buffing it. Not a ton, just a little bit. I know these brushes can be kind of abrasive on people's under eyes. This is one of the BH like smoky eye brushes, and this is a fantastic brush set. It's like, it's really soft, they blend really well, and they hold on to product super well. And I'm keeping it a little more buffed on the outer corner. I'm straightening it up again, and I'm just... So now I just have like a little definition on the lower lash line. Once again, with hooded eyes, it's never really going to connect to the upper eye when your eyes are like open, but when they're closed, it'll look just fine. And there we go. It's not like a winged eye, it's a little more rounded, a little more almond. So I hope this helped with some things, especially like the buffing and blending and kind of the time it took. I'm at the 45-minute mark, so this one eye took me about 45 minutes, and I was explaining things, but I was also like doing things. So don't rush your shadow. Take your time. If you have your makeup on, sorry, just in closing, if you have your makeup on already and you don't want to put tapes on, but you want like a really clean line, get some of these cheap disposable sponges and you can just hold it and gently press it into your eye. And it's going to make, I'll just show you that, one sec. Bonus round, y'all are getting a bonus round. Just priming my eye again. Now we're just gonna do a smoky liner tutorial, cause why not? I'm already here, I'm already queer. My depression is moderate to severe. So I'm actually gonna dip into Karma for this. This is a little hard to like, so I'm gonna have my mirror setting to where like I can kind of see myself. So excuse me, I'm going to be looking kind of down for this, but so I'm holding this right where my bottom lash line meets my eyelid, and I'm going to take the brush, you got to kind of open your eyes, and just gently start smoking it out. Sometimes it's easier to close your eyes, sometimes it's not. Sorry, I'm trying to like get this as in frame for y'all as possible. And part of smoky liner is just using a brush and really smoking it out. This part is really imperative to get it nice and smoky. Just along here, don't really be too careful about blending it out. You can once again clean it up using primer brush. Now, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but that is a very clean line. And if you already have makeup on, you can use that. It's not really gonna pull up much makeup, or you can powder the edge of it so it doesn't pull up much makeup. Now, so I've got that all good. I'm just gonna take Karma and I'm going to run it along the lower lash line and flick it up on the edge here on an eyeliner brush. I'm gonna dip into Bad Liar, and I'm just gonna kind of follow the bottom of that really clean line and bring it in, and I'm gonna start from the inner portion this time, dip into a little more Bad Liar, inner portion, keeping it kind of angled up, and I'm really keeping it on just the lash line. Like I'm borderline touching the inside of my eyelid. And with liner brushes, I actually like to hold them pretty far down. It's gonna give you a lot more precision, I think. I'm bringing it kind of up higher than just the lash line. And I need to perfect. So I got the liner done. This is a super great brush to have. It's like a precision liner brush. It's super tiny and super skinny. I'm gonna dip into Echo, which is that camel color, and I'm gonna start running that just along the outer edge of Bad Liar, and that's gonna help it like blend out and be smoky. And I'm using very little pressure with this, but once again, I am holding the brush pretty close to the end. Okay, this is actually one of the brushes that comes with an ABH palette, but I like the end of this. It's like a chunky, like paddle brush, but it's smaller. And I'm actually gonna use that to really blend out these edges. Just kind of small, circular, and also like windshield wipery movements. I know some people like stretch their lids. I don't really like doing that because once you unstretch it, the wing is gonna kind of look fucked up. I'm gonna take the primer brush and I kind of let Karma get away from me right here. So I'm just gonna use that to kind of clean it up right there. That's super pretty. Now I'm just gonna take a bullet brush, dip into Pixie, and I'm just gonna pop it in the inner corner because why not? And there we go. 2 looks. Let me get y'all a little bit more of this. 2 really basic looks, 2 really kind of easy concepts to follow. Just follow your lash line. If you want it almonded, kind of blend down. If you want it winged, you just blend up and flick it out, right? My little bear cubs, thank you so much for watching. You should subscribe to my Instagram and Twitter and this channel, BearScareBeauty, same way it's spelled here. And I'll have one more back to basics. Not really gonna do eyebrows because everybody does eyebrows differently. Not only that, eyebrows just suck. Like it's hard to do, they suck. And yeah, nobody ever has perfect brows. Just remember that, nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you had a lovely time, and have a lovely rest of your weekend. Bye, my little bear cubs.